Welcome, one and all, to another episode of Blueful Boosting, where we turn your downtime into uptime. And this is going to be a heavy take because I want to be as authentic as possible. So why not do that in a way where we talk about really the basis of how this channel started? Life has its own struggles, right? So leading into this, because all of this is past tense now, and maybe I'll go into future detail in a future video. But before this rant goes along the lines of vague booking, to summarize what landed us here, we have a world that's very noisy, especially in the political climate. There's this feeling of there's always bad news out there. There's always the next worst thing happening. This could also be applied to gaming in a sense, because with AI taking over, it diminishes the quality of things. And that could be said for a lot of other things as well, hence the term enshittification, as it is called. But what really led to this point was a combination of a lot of things. It was a combination of self-reflection where I realized that I'm not quite where I want to be. I'm approaching the 4th decade of my life. And the biggest thought I'm having to myself is, this just ain't it, right? There's got to be more to life than just paying bills, right? And it seems like the most simple thing where you're like, no shit, of course, you should try to do something fulfilling for yourself on the outside, until you realize you've gone for so long without doing that, and then it just kind of hits you one day. So a combination of that, a combination of job loss, a combination of self-intrusive thoughts, right? All these things hit me all at once, and eventually I got to the point where the opposite started happening. It's like, this sucks, and there's not too much I can do about it currently, but what can I do about it? Taking what I feel here mentally, right? How to channel that same energy, or channel energy at all, really. How do we get from this down point to an up point? How do we actually get there? I didn't have answers. I did a ton of feeling bad for myself. And then this went into content. And somewhere in the back of my head, because that's how it works, in the back of my head, I was like, I should be creating content. I should be doing something like this. I should be doing something like this video that I'm currently putting out right now. But I didn't do that. Instead, I chose to consume content, because that'll teach me something, right? Then I'll watch another one. That'll teach me something. Okay, then I'll watch another one, because the more I keep consuming, I will eventually have enough in the back of my head to come up with some kind of idea, or confident enough myself to come on here and create something, right? You tell yourself that. How many did we get to? Video 3, right? I kept telling myself this for video 10. I kept telling myself this for video 100. You get the idea. You just don't do anything. You don't get anything done. And you feel bad because you didn't get that something done. So you move on to something else. You try to be more productive, right? If you have a job loss, then it's, my full-time job should be finding a job, right? So you burn yourself out on that. You shotgun apply, as they say. And that's debatably not the best way to do things anymore, or just ignore LinkedIn entirely. Who the hell knows in this current job market, really? But, you do that, you get burnt out on that. So it's like, okay, well, I want a break. So let me go ahead and go on to something else. And you can see there's a clear pattern here. You just keep procrastinating the thing that in the back of your mind you should be doing. And the thing that's in the back of your mind should actually be in the front of your mind instead. So how do you break free from that? Good question. I'm still trying to figure out that answer. Now, this channel, at least in part, is going to be that answer, but also to be, let anybody know that might be going through the same thing. Like, hey, you're not alone in this. A lot of us are really just going through it right now in one way or another. Whether it's something that directly affects you due to certain policies out there politically, whether it's due to you may have lost a family member or two, whether it's due to you lost a job, you might have lost maybe not even necessarily you lost somebody as in they passed away, but you just lost them in your life. Like maybe you had a tough breakup or something. You lost your computer, which is the sense of your well-being because you use it for content creation, right? It could be a variety of things. But you spend so long feeling bad for yourself until you just get tired of your own bullshit. You reach a turning point where it's like, enough is enough. So how do I pull out of this? Well, my personal solution is to go cold turkey on a lot of things. In the sense of maybe certain behaviors I had before won't keep being the case into my future. Maybe these things don't align anymore. Maybe this person isn't the best for me. Maybe these things that I'm putting into my body for food is not such a good idea anymore. I say this coming right from not that long ago doing the equivalent of eating my feelings, right? It just becomes a huge mess. And you continue to go down this downward spiral of just feeling bad for yourself. But you got to give yourself that true kick in the ass, And just be like, you know what? Enough is enough. It's time to make a change. It's time to make several changes, maybe. And part of doing that might be just, a lot more action and a lot less words. Don't tell anybody what you're doing. Just kind of build in silence. Build organically. Go ghost, as they say. It's a thing. Monk mode is another term. There's a lot of different terms to describe this same thing, but it's really just making sure you're doing what you need to do to put yourself in the right direction. And I realize that in talking about this, it's not the easiest of topics to talk about. It's also very personal to me, and part of why I want to make this a boosting, uplifting channel, or a sharing stories channel, a vlogging channel of sorts, to let people know, like, hey, you can get another chance. You don't always get another chance, but there are chances that were offered, and you want to take advantage of that. You want to have those opportunities to be able to rise instead of permanently being down or kicked down or however it may feel in your head, because the fact is we do have limited life. We only have so much time on this earth. So why not make the best of it? And again, several points of this are going to sound like no shit. But are you actually doing something to turn your life around? Are you? Or are you just coming from home from work because you're exhausted and just spending the next few hours until you go to sleep either watching something or on a game or some form of consumption that doesn't involve creating, learning, saving, investing, any of the good things to like help you propel yourself forward in life. As I stumble over my own words to say this, but like, you have to do something. You can't just stay stagnant. You can't. Escapism only works for so long. Because when you come back to reality, when you hit that day where reality really just kicks you in the ass, you can't run anymore. You've hit all the possible brick walls you can. There's nowhere else to go but up. So you stay trapped between the walls, or you find yourself a ladder to climb up. There is nothing else. You've gone through every which path you've tricked yourself into. That ultimately gets you away from what your purpose is, and or what you actually need to do to propel yourself forward, because you somewhere along the line you have not been authentic to yourself. You chose other needs instead of climbing up. You chose to fill others' buckets instead of yours. You chose to forego health appointments because you had to work to pay the bills. You're just stuck now with the reality, the current reality as it is. It's deep. It's tough to think about. It's tough to come to terms with. But there's no other way. You have to get honest with yourself in order to really do the very thing I've been introducing every video with to date. And will continue to do so because it makes enough sense for what we're doing here. Even if it takes you a while to do so, you have to find your own ways to turn that downtime into uptime. Otherwise, it's always going to be downtime. You don't want to have those regrets as you get closer to permanent downtime with our limited time on this earth. So, on that note, that's going to do it for this particular video. We'll go into more detail on some of these things. I do think I'm going to have to start, writing down these ideas somewhere so it doesn't get as ranty. But at least as a proper introduction that isn't like... Because the first thing was the gaming video. Now that's put out. So, that's the Fantasy Star stuff, and that's good for that. But to focus on what I think a good chunk of the channel is going to be, which is this kind of stuff, to give you an idea of what to expect. I can get more into some of these things and maybe even tell personal stories that people can relate to. I think there's a lot of value in that now. I see a lot of it going on. A lot of escaping wage slavery, as they say. A lot of realizing hey, maybe you take a boring job, or what one would consider a boring job, just so you can take back your own time. There's a lot of different ways to go about this. So whether it's a personal way of doing so or sharing knowledge that I now have, just kind of in my own way, and to express it from another point of view for someone who might be running into this, and that it can help. Any possible thing you can do to do that full 180 and turn one's life around. Until the next one, take care, guys. The hardest part a lot of times is starting. I almost didn't record this. I was going to record 3 videos for the week. That quickly passed me by. I swapped it up for streaming, so kind of like column A, column B. I partly did something, but not quite for the YouTube channel. But we're recording now on the weekend to make sure we're ready for the next week. Plus, I do start a new job soon. So, coming off of what I mentioned earlier, I do start new work. So, we're going to have to find out a new way to schedule things, too. So, there is no better time to be doing this. And if I'm honest, I probably could have spent more time actually getting more out before going back to work. But part of that also was I had to convince myself to finally just make the jump and upgrade equipment, which might be noticeable per this video, because this is going to be the first example of that. I now have better equipment that I can do stuff like this with, and we'll be changing scenery more often as a result of the equipment. So there's probably something else I can put into another video. So let's not put it all out here and try to get less of less of the ranting on. There will be plenty more to come with a little more structure. But if you're in a down period right now, remember, there's always someone out there that cares for you. Know what your support group is. Read a book, take a walk, play a game for a bit, build some community. Or, touch some grass, as they say. Going outside doesn't hurt as much as we might think it does sometimes. Take care. Have a good one. I will see you guys next video. Later.